Alright, so today's video is going to be covering the PTR testing that we just did today. I'm not going to cover the Mythic boss because the boss was so easy, I don't even really understand what happened. But we did the Amalgamation Chamber today and the Forgotten Experiments. I was having some game problems. My PTR was crashing a lot, which I don't really know why. PTR sucks, I guess. But I did record some of the fight stuff, and I can kind of give you an idea of how Shadow plays on some of these. We didn't really get to see the full fights for all of them because it was Mythic testing, so we had an hour. And things were getting fixed or learning stuff, things like that, so keep all that in mind. So to start off, the Amalgamation Chamber is the first Mythic boss we did. I believe these are the talents. I decided to run for it. I don't think Mindbender is good here because it's technically a spread 2-target fight, and then the second phase is a single target fight. So you're obviously going to be dropping Shadow Crash. Insidious Ire is going to get a lot of value. It's 2-target and they're spread. I just don't think Mindbender is going to be very good. So typically for my M plus build, what I change is I put these Screams of the Void points here, and I put these 2 points here and here. Again, I'm not playing Mind Spike, Mind Meld. I don't think it's very good. The VODs, this is all muted, but just so you can see, this last pull was a fairly decent one. So you can see that pretty much start from the middle. I'm gonna preface this by saying I'm not gonna cover the boss mechanics too much because I'm not gonna tell you exactly how to deal with them because we don't really know ourselves. We were trying lots of different things, so I'll kind of explain the mechanics and maybe what we were doing, but do not take what strategy we were doing as the best strategy. It's also important to keep in mind on Mythic, I believe we're scaled to 428 item level. So all these DPS numbers, HP numbers, all that sort of stuff is 428 equivalent. And I'm just rocking this gear. The normal gear, the double crit trinkets, all my live gear. That's all Haste Mastery, gemmed with Haste Mastery, and the new tier, the new 4 set. With that being said, here we go. It's pretty standard 2-target fight. Sorry, I was actually wrong. I played this build with DA on this fight. My apologies. Yeah, I think I was messing around with Void Form and DA, but I think on this pull I'd use DA. I was trying to, as I had mentioned in my previous video, I was trying to use Distorted Reality to keep DP up on multiple when I was playing Void Form. However, I kind of felt like it was just not very good. It just wasn't consistent enough because we weren't sure if we were going to allow people to stand in the middle for these debuffs. Essentially, if we're since Shadow Priest is a multi-dotter, we're standing in the middle and dotting both, which means you're close enough to get the fire debuff and the shadow debuff from the ad. And the way this mechanic works is that if you have the fire debuff, you have to clear with somebody with shadow, and it clears these stacks and gives you these stacks, which is a heavier dot that expires over time. So if you were multi-donning, you were getting both stacks, which means in order to clear both, you'd have to clear with somebody else who also has both. So the multi-dotters pretty much just picked a partner and cleared on occasion. It was very easy to heal through this way. Whether that's intended or not, I'm not entirely sure. The reason I paused it here is because we're kind of finishing up with the opener. You can kind of see, I mean, like 170k on 2 targets. Like, it's pretty nice. It's pretty standard stuff. This fire guy throws out, and you see I just cleared, so I went up to 4 stacks of each, and then I just got a shadow one, and I'm also going to fire debuff right there as well. So this is like my clear partner essentially. But this guy does a soak. You can see right there on the tank that has to happen, and he shoots the fire tornadoes. The shadow guy selects players with a debuff, and then you have to run out and you drop this little pool here that is permanent, I believe, or at least stays until P2. And then he also does like a sucking in mechanic that you'll probably see here in a second. But other than that, I mean, this fight's pretty. I mean, I don't think you want to watch. I mean, unless you want to watch me do my whole rotation, the whole fight. But I mean, I find that pretty boring, but maybe that's just me. So you can see it is a little hard here to make sure, because the tanks are tanking them quite far away from each other. So making sure you're within 40 yards of both the multi-dot, so you're spawning spirits properly and all that sort of stuff can be a little awkward depending on what your tanks are doing. But it wasn't too bad. You can see here's a soak. That guy had the purple debuff, so he couldn't do the soak. I step into the soak. Didn't do that much damage, popped fade for it. Nothing crazy. There's the tornadoes. And then once one of these ads goes to 50, they combine and make the Omega ad. So this guy will get to... Why is it so slow now? What happened? Hello? What the hell is that? Okay, that was weird. So yeah, we actually wipe on this, but right here. So he will shortly phasing. I get the debuff here, and I have to run out. Run out. You just don't want to clear. You just don't want to place them in the middle because the tanks have to clear something like that, and they run through the middle. So as long as they're not blocking the middle, that's what's important. So you can see they get the shield here. They become invulnerable. They don't take any damage. And then they combine. So I'm just healing myself. They don't take any damage. They turn into this guy. And then we really couldn't figure out the best way to do this phase because some people had debuff. You can see like that person, that shaman, just had a debuff left over. He still got a shadow one. So it's a little weird. This boss does have like a mark mechanic. This thing, Shadow and Flame, and so you're not supposed to be near anybody, but I guess we were all too close, and it kind of just explodes and kills everybody. So. I mean, if you're really just interested in shadow damage, I mean, shadow damage is pretty solid on that fight. The two targets very strong, and then single target's still pretty good. This boss was... I'll show you the later pulls on this boss because I figured out what build to actually play for this. What we were actually doing was not popping CDs on pull because we weren't lusting, and the second guy is actually the most not the most important one, but once the second guy drops down, the second boss, you really got to burn this guy down as quickly as possible. That's what we're going to say. I mean, you won't see me on the meters for a hot minute here. The way this works is that there's 3 bosses. This guy is the one who starts first. When he reaches 50, the new boss spawns right over here. And then when that new guy hits 50%, a third boss spawns over here on the right side of the room where my mouse is. So you'll see kind of as this guy gets a little closer and closer. 51%, 50. I think there was some weird spell queuing stuff. So you see he drops. There's an important thing to note. This is probably unintended, but you are able to dwarf clear off this permanent bleed. This is like SLG, where you get like a perma bleed. You were able to dwarf it off, and it was able to get bopped off. So OP, classic. So once we get here, this is when we pop CDs, and then I think we have a late list here, which is kind of a... Don't mind it, but yeah, pop full CDs, and you'll see here I will shoot up here. So actually, I think this goes to show... I think this is the build I was... No, I think I was actually running this build. I was running this with, sorry. On this fight I'm showing you right now, this is the build I was running. I think I was literally running my M+. Yeah, I was literally running my full M+ build. Do I see a Screams debuff anywhere? I should see a Screams debuff somewhere if I hit the Iron Plague here. Yep, okay, yeah, so I am playing this. She'll see me shoot up here, which I think will actually... is a bit of a testament to Shadow Priest 2 target. I mean, it's pretty fucking good. You'll see here. So if you see me shooting up here... And this is literally with holding full CDs on pull too, because of the way we wanted to do Lust and try to burn this guy down. So, I mean, listen, you tell me. This looks pretty solid. There is also a lot of movement this fight as well, so I think a lot of people who are gonna opt for like not playing Death and or Death Speaker. It's very nice to have some extra instant casts for yourself on this fight. Um, that's just personal preference, I suppose. But you can see I'm doing some very nice DPS numbers here. I'm obviously not oh sorry, I'm obviously not like trying to like super pad or do anything super cringe here. Um, yeah, this boss fight is kind of hectic. The big mechanic that we were wiping on was these big circles, which are, if you look at the raid frames here, this person has the debuff, this person has debuff, this person has the debuff. It's this little blue-purple square here thing, and it stacks up and then needs to get dispelled. When it gets dispelled, it drops these little things, which are the little ads. And then the big thing with these ads is that this guy, and he does a AoE pulse thing, essentially. And that pulse is pretty much a wipe if any of these ads are up when it happens, because he deals like, it does like a ton of extra damage if any of these are up. So we were like MDing them, MDing the debuffs and burning these ads at particular times when we knew he wouldn't be doing the AoE channel. It was a little hard to gauge because we don't have boss timers like super figured out. So when you have boss timers, it'll be a lot easier, but that's pretty much how we were doing the mechanic. Then with this other boss down, I think the only other thing this other boss does is he does this deep breath thing. I guess he puts out these blue circles too, which I guess you just don't want to pulse on other players. But he does this deep breath thing where he teleports over there and then he does it, and you do not want to get hit by that. You can see it fucking wrecked some people. And then yeah, I think we had a wipe here because some people died. They had the debuff, this thing that I just got. They had this debuff and died, and if you die with the debuff, you automatically drop the orb. I mean, we had a bunch of people died because they weren't ready for the deep breath. But then yeah, he does his volatile eruption. Look at that. One tick was 70% of my health because all these things exploded when he did volatile eruption. And the next tick is just boom, and insta wipe. It's just unhealable. So yeah, I mean, our damage looks really good. Again, I'm not gonna like go in depth on everything here. But I was literally holding CDs till pretty much a minute in. I didn't try playing is it like buffering or something? What's going on here? Okay. I didn't try playing DA because you technically could. We were pretty much less than a minute in, and then you could play DA to use your 1 minutes on cooldown and hold PI for Lust, and then use DA again on 1 minutes. I feel like with the amount of targets, Void Eruption's better with Void Bolt because of Psychic Link Cleave, more Spirit spawning, stuff like that. And again, you can see, I mean, it's very good DPS. I mean, this one I ended top. Like, holy. Do I look at the breakdown? I do look at the breakdown right here. Because I was curious. So we all, like, wiped. I mean, you can see my breakdown here. So, interesting points to look at in my mind. Shadow Word Death damage. Very nice. Very nice. I was looking at the other Shadow Priest we had in the raid, and their Shadow Word Death damage was like down here. It was like 2-3%, and this was like 6% for me. I'm telling you, Death Speaker, such a strong talent, gives you a global depress while moving. It's just very strong, I think, with the Psychic Link interaction. And I mean, you can just look. Our Vampiric Touch was 3% behind our DP. I am playing Distorted Reality here. Again, you can see the talents. This is the talents that I was running for this. I just think Screams of the Void gets a lot of value. I mean, you can even see our Shadow Word Pain damage is very high. Our Spirits damage is high. Psychic Link, DP. All these are doing fine. Again, I'm playing Mind Flame Insanity because I think it's better. I do not know if so my game crashed. My shit was bricked for a while. Did I look at the overall here at all? When did I die? Or not the overall, just my breakdown. Yeah, so you see I'm looking at both of them, so see on my breakdown, so pause, that's the correct time here. It'd be a little hard to tell. Yeah, so Firing Plague, Psychic Link, BT, Apparitions are all pretty much up here. And I don't know what build our other Shadow Priest was playing. I guess I could look at logs. That's what we'll look at here. So this is the build that he was running. Mind Spike, Mind Melt. Oh, look, my game already crit aired. Shocker. Yes, I mean, this is the build he was playing, and the build I double check I wasn't capping. Yeah, you can see Death Speaker, this, not this, Distorted Reality. I mean, the difference between, make these, they don't flip flop too much. Okay. So the difference between these builds, as you can see, is Death Speaker, Screams of the Void, and then the Mind Spike, Mind Melt talents, and 1 point in Ire. I just don't think it's good enough. TBH. It just seems pretty, just not good enough. I don't know. Did he die? What time did we all die here? 3:34, 3:25. So I know Elo is a pretty good Shadow Priest. But I mean, you can just look at the damage discrepancy, 90k to 108. I don't know how much of that is skill gap or not, but I think it's just a build gap. I'm not sure. Shadowy Apparitions. I mean, my Apparitions was 2.8. His was 2.5. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a lot more damage. Just kind of gapping, I guess. So yeah, I mean, very good. Like it's 2 target for most of the fight. And even our single target looks pretty solid. I mean, you can even see this is like the heroic one we did, and yeah. Yeah, I played my full on plus build on this because this is like a assault of the. There's a fucking gajillion targets. So okay, now this is bugged. I love that. This was heroic, so we didn't really know what was happening, but yeah, I was cranking for sure. So Shadow's looking good. Like I said, I expected nerfs, got buffs, so fuck you, dude. We tried doing some PTR testing stuff, but it appears as though we still have enough for M plus. Sorry, we tried to do PTR M plus, but we just didn't have a healer, so haven't really been able to test any of the new PTR M plus stuff. Perhaps this weekend I'll be able to, but not 100% sure. So